Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and it is tier list time. We're gonna go over what has been contested to be one of the worst mini sets maybe ever, at least early. We're gonna go rate every single card, S through F, S being like god tier, awesome card, F being just, yeah, you're probably not gonna want to play it. Maybe in arena, you never know. And I want to announce our giveaway winners for 3 mini sets. You guys were incredible. Tons of views, subs, likes. I really appreciate it. Those winners have all been contacted. If I don't hear back from them in 24 hours, I'll pick new winners. And I did want to announce, let's do another giveaway. There's that whole insane Ragnaros portrait going live today. I'm gonna give away 1 portrait out of my pocket. It's pretty expensive. It's like $60. Starting today, we'll give you guys a week. We'll give a full week to enter this giveaway. Same deal. If we manage to hit another 1,000 subs, I'll add another portrait next week. So that's more than a mini set. So yeah, I just want to get back because it feels really bad, at least for me, to buy it and then nobody else gets to enjoy it, right? Like, it's so ridiculous. But yes, we'll do another giveaway. So to enter that giveaway, like and comment on this video. Be subscribed to the channel, usual thing. If we hit another 1,000 subs by next Tuesday, I will add another portrait to that giveaway. So absolutely hit that sub button. Very much make me go broke. Anyways, let's take a look at the cards because there are quite a lot of them. We're going to over all of them. We'll go try and keep it a little bit more brief if possible, considering, yeah, there's like 30 plus cards. So first, we got the Deathlike cards, Eternal Layover, give all minions a reborn, then destroy all minions. Again, really situational, really weird, could go really well with AoE on 6 mana, kind of like a very expensive Equality Consecrate clear, which actually used to be 6 mana in the day. I'll give it a C. I don't really see this popping up, but again, it's one of these kind of clunky, weird removal slash I could take advantage things. It's just very expensive to do that. Soul Searching, 2 mana, double Unholy Spell, discover a card from your deck, spend 5 corpses to copy it. Yeah, you gotta play double Unholy, which is not something you really want to do these days. There are like double Unholy Plaguelets, which might run this, but you got to play it later in the game to really get the value out of it, which you really need to do. I think it's awkward. I'm not super sold on it seeing play. So again, a C. We have Travel Security, 6 mana, 2/2, Taunt and Death Rattle. Summon a random 8-cost minion. It's a 6 mana 2/2 with Taunt. You can't play this. It's too slow, ridiculously punishable. I can't imagine any deck ever plays this. It's an okay arena pick, but that's about it. It gets an F from me. Next, we have the Demon Hunter card, starting off with the Demonic Deal, which has 2 mana Fell Spell, Lifesteal, deal 4 damage to a minion, put a random demon that costs 5 or more on top of your deck. So it's like anti-fatigue in a way. You add some, it's a random demon, right? It's not from your deck. It could be anything. It could be absolutely bad, unplayable. And then your next draw kind of sucks a lot of the time just for that 1 extra damage of Lifesteal. I don't see it happening. I'll give it a C. There might be some merit to it, but I'm not totally sold. We have the Infernal Stapler, 3 mana, 3/3 weapon. Your hero attacks, after your hero attacks, deal 3 damage to your hero. So you get 9 damage for 3. You also self-damage, so get some synergies maybe with like a Rana or that Sauna card. And I don't think Shaman's playing this. They can play these cards. Again, not entirely sold on this whatsoever. We'll give it a C, but maybe it's okay. I'll give it a low B just because it is a lot of damage. And if that self-damage thing ever works for Demon Hunter, you're going to want to play this card. So I'll give it a passing grade. I guess C is passing, but you know what I mean. In Hearthstone land, it's like B or higher is what I really, really want. Next is the Spirit Peddler. He's 6 mana, 6/6 demon. It has Rush, Death Rattle, reduce the cost of a random minion in your hand by 6, so you can cheat out something big. I could absolutely see this going into either Shaman or Demon Hunter in the whole like cliff dive, like big deck. The Shaman one's emerged as like a threat, and this is a way of getting something big on the board, or at least have the Death Rattle go off and then cheat out a big thing in your hand. I think this might actually see some realistic play. I'm gonna give it an A. It's a lot of mana cheat. We all know how strong mana cheat is, and cliff dive has been popping up. and I think this card could absolutely see play. Next, we have for Druid, the Druid card, so playable by Warrior. The Number Cruncher, which is a 4-mana 2/1 beast. It has Rush, it has Taunt, choose thrice, gain +2 attack, or 2 health, so you can gain like 6 stats, or 6 stats, right? +6 attack, +6 health, or a combination of the two. Feel like it's a Fringe Reno Druid card at best, maybe a Fringe Reno Warrior card. The stats aren't amazing, but I'll give it a B for that optimistic take I took when I initially reviewed this card. Next, we have the Handle with Bear. Sorry, I love me some bears. 2-mana nature spell, get to 3/3 bears with Taunt. Each turn they're in your hand, they gain +1/+1. I have absolutely no idea what you're doing with this. The bears themselves are 3 mana. Yeah, you could play this on 2, then play a 4/4 on 3, but in today's game, that ain't amazing. I don't see this seeing play outside of the arena. I'll give it a C. Maybe Taunt Warrior, maybe, I don't know, but probably not. We have the Angoro Brochure, 4-mana nature spell, draw 2 minions, give them +2/+2, but while this card is in your hand, it'll flip the next turn to an arcane spell, which will draw 2 spells that cost 1 less. I feel like Warrior absolutely can use this. Getting specific minion tutor, especially in like Reno Warrior, can be good. Discounting spells is incredibly good in either class. I'm giving this an A. I think this could see play in particular Warrior I'm looking at, maybe Druid, but to me it's one of the better cards of the mini set, so take that for what it is. For Hunter, we have a Monkey Business, add 8 bananas to your hand. Any that can't fit are randomly fed to friendly minions in play. Hunter can actually fill their hand pretty reasonably, especially if like Call Pet, or not Call Pet, but you know, the Animal Companion card and other cards like that. You might be able to get value off of it, but I still feel like at the end of the day, it's kind of weird. It's kind of bananas. I'll give it a high C though. This is one I'm not entirely sure on. I think it could pop up, but probably leading more towards a C. We have the Workhorse, Death Rattle, summon 2 2/1 ponies. It's a 3-mana 4/2, a beast. It just doesn't do enough in today's game. It's some stats, but it's just like 3 mana, 2 health, and then 1 health. Feels relatively easy to remove. Not amazing, but again, I don't think it's terrible. It's kind of like a B or a C to me, but do I realistically think this is gonna see like meta play that I would give it a B? No, I think it won't make the cut, and I'll give it a C. We have the Cash Cow, a 5-mana 3/7 beast. It has Taunt, and whenever it takes damage, you get a coin. Hunter is like nothing to do with coins right now, and I just don't know what this card is doing. You can hand buff it, I guess, or bring it back, I think, with Stranglethorn Heart. I think that brings it. Regardless, it's an F. You're not playing this card. I don't understand the point of this card. Priest doesn't want it either, which could play these cards. It's just a really baffling card in this mini set. Mage gets one of the new Taurus legendaries in Portal Mancer Skyla. She's 5 mana, 4/5. She lets you play row cards and has Battle Cry. Swap the cost of the lowest and highest cost cards or spells in your hand. So you got a coin, you got a tsunami, you have a 0-mana tsunami, and yeah, a 10-mana coin. I don't think you care about that, but this is an absolute scam card. Lets you play row cards, which can be absolutely valuable, give you card draw, coins as well. I think this is probably arguably the best card in the mini set. It's really up there. I will give it an S. I think that high roll scam potential could be meta defining, really frustrating, and not a card I'm particularly excited to see play, but I probably will be trying it out day 1, which is today, by the way. I will be streaming this on Twitch. Not sure when, but yeah, if you follow me over there, you'll get alerted when I go live. We'll be trying this stuff out and doing our legend climb. Next, we have Burn Down, 3-mana fire spell, draw 3 cards, and light them on fire. In 3 turns, any still in hand are destroyed. So you get 3 mana, draw 3, which is pretty good, and maybe you'll lose a card if you don't play them soon enough. But Druid can play these cards, Mage can. I absolutely see this seeing meta play. Very solid card. Might even see play in Wild. It's like just card draw is always good. And yeah, the chances that that card you can't play isn't that high, and most of the time you probably don't care that much. Next, we have Huddle Up, 7-mana spell for Mage and Druid. Fill your board with random Naga. The average stat distribution on Nagas is actually pretty bad. It's like around just over 2 attack, just over 3 health. It's not super impactful. I feel like Druid, if anything, would use it more to swarm the board and buff it. But overall, I don't see it making the cut. I'm gonna give it a C, but look out from this from Primordial Glyph, because that, the 5 mana, that's pretty good. It's more of a really good created by card more than anything else. With next, we have the Paladin cards, which are accessible by Mage. First is Trust Fall, 4 mana spell, discover 2 minions that cost 5 or less. They gain each other's attack and health. So you spend 4 mana just to discover maybe 2 crappy 1-drops. You don't know, it's completely random. And then they get combined stats, which can be okay, but overall it's really slow. 4 mana, do nothing to get stats that might not do much on the board other than be stats. Not reliable. Pretty much an awful card. I'm gonna give it an F. Busy Bot, which I'll read correctly this time. 2 mana, 3/2. Battlecry, give your 1 attack minions +1/+1. So this buffs them on the board. If they're on the board and have 1 attack, pretty good with Silver Hand recruits. But outside of like Flood Paladin, which I feel like this is very win more, I'm not entirely sold on it. But yeah, maybe Flood Paladin will play this, or a Dude Paladin will emerge with another card we have here. I gave this I wanted to give it a 1, and then I ended up giving it a 2. I'm gonna throw it at B, because yeah, the Dude synergies are really strong and could end up being a pretty good card. And then we have Vacation Planning, 4 mana spell here, restore 4 health, you summon 3 Silver Hand recruits, draw 2 cards. It's like a mini ultimate infestation, and I think Mage would like this too, quite possibly, but Paladin absolutely can use this card. You get some health, you get board, you know, minions on the board, and you get 2 cards. That is a lot of value for 1 card, and I'll go with the Trump line, not the, you know, the Hearthstone Trump line of I like some value. I will give this card an A. Priest gets another brochure card here with the Silver Moon Brochure. It's a 2 mana holy spell. Give a minion immune this turn and +2/+2. And as a brochure, it'll flip the next turn into the Gilneas Brochure, which silences a minion and gives it -2/-2. Little versatile card, no idea what it'll go into, but I think this is one of the more underrated cards I've seen lately this set, and I do think it sees play. I will give it a B. Next, we have the Envoy of Prosperity, 2 mana 4/4 minion, Battle Cry, put the highest cost card in your hand on top of your deck. So you basically lose a card from your hand, or if your hand's empty, doesn't matter at all. And then you have that top deck of that more expensive card. This could set up combos, and as Demon Hunter has access to it, they kind of like having empty hands sometimes. This could just be a really solid tempo card. I'm not entirely sold on it, but I'll give it a very low B because it is a 2 mana 4/4 with potential upside if your deck is built correctly. We have the Job Shadower, a 3 mana 4/3 undead. Battle Cry, if your hero took damage this turn. Summon a copy of this. I think this is much better in Demon Hunter, which can access these cards with their 1 mana hero power, their weapons. A lot easier to damage and then play an 8/6 for 3 mana. Sadly, today's game, the ideal lineup of that happening, probably still not worth it. I'm gonna give it a C, not sold on the card. Rogue gets the Robo Collar, a 3 mana 3/2 mech. Battle Cry, draw an 8/8 and 8 cost card. Numbers dialed randomly each turn, so 0 through 9, just like a telephone, but it won't be dialed until it's in your hand for a turn. So you Shadow Step this, you return it to your hand. It always starts at 8/8/8, which could be like Snatch and Grab, which could be pretty good. Actually, I think this could see play. It's consistent draw for Mage, for Rogue, and even Paladin. They can access this card as well. I'm giving this an A. I just think it could be pretty solid. And yeah, if you draw 3 cards for 3 mana, and with a body too, you're pretty darn happy. Agency Espionage, they throw back to Academic Espionage. You shuffle a card from each other class into your deck. They cost 1. Very fun, thematic Burgle card. These have always been terrible, never playable, but I'm glad they make them because people love these cards. I'll give it an F for competitive validity, but I will give it absolutely an A in terms of flavor and design. We have the Sharp Shipment, 4 mana spell. Give your weapon +2/+2. Paladin could increase their hand buffs, but more likely this just goes into the Sonya Rogue or just the weapon rogues in general in Rogue right now that are very good. Probably takes the spot of a card like Air Guitarist, which not a great card in that deck, but you play it and then you draw better minions on average with like your 1 mana draw spell. I'm giving this an A because I think it'll be very impactful, really solid, because once this is played, basically your weapon is not going anywhere until either you lose or your opponent loses. You're pretty much set for the rest of the game. Shaman gets another tourist to access the very bad hunter cards with the hunter tourist Battlecry. Get +1/+1 to all other Battlecry minions in your deck and battlefield and hand and all that stuff. So you buff, Battlecry minions could be nice. You got like a chain gang, they get to, duplicate that. That's really good. The problem with this card, Cookie exists, and I think the Demon Hunter cards are so good, and Shaman has been so good with them. I would be shocked if they decide to play this instead of Cookie, because you can only play one tourist in your deck. As a result, even though the effect is all right, I just can't see a play in this over Cookie. I've downgraded my rating from initial thoughts down to a C, especially after we saw the Hunter cards. Like, my God, what are these Hunter cards? Next, we have the Ice Crown Brochure. 2-mana Frost Spell. Deal 3 damage to a minion and freeze its neighbors. Again, this is a brochure, so it'll flip into a fire spell. The Blackrock Brochure. Deal 3 damage to a minion and 1 to its neighbor. Either get really efficient freeze or a nice AoE for some tokens. You can manipulate what spell school you want to get going, maybe for your Razzle Dazzler. I think this card's very solid. I'm between a B and an A on it. I'll put it as a very high B. I don't think this goes into more aggressive deck lists, but certainly some of the slower Shaman lists or Deathlight could absolutely use that too for all their spell school synergies. And lastly, for Shaman, we have the Hydration Totem. 2-mana 0/3 totem at the end of your turn. Give adjacent minions +1/+1. This will probably have more of an impact in Wild and even Shaman, which, has always been around and pretty darn solid. In Standard, once like a flood token deck emerges, this could certainly see play, and we have seen that already, especially like Wave and Nostalgia decks. It snowballs. This is, again, I feel kind of an underrated card. I'm going to give it a B. I think this could pop up in lists because, again, this gets on the board with just one minion. It can snowball out of control and be a real frustration point. Next, we have Warlock, which gets one of my favorite cards from the set, Deadline, which has tradable temporary destroy a minion. It's a shadow spell, 2-mana, all of that. Rogue, I believe, can play these cards, and yeah, if you don't trade this away, it's gone, or you just use it. And really thematic, really cool, I think well-designed card. I'll give it a B. I don't necessarily know where it comes up, but it's very cheap removal, and tradable can be a great thing too, depending on your deck. So I think it's a pretty solid card. We have Fine Print, a 4-mana shadow spell. Deal 4 damage to all minions. Excess damage hits your hero. I like how the downside is on Fine Print on this card. And overall, it's a pretty good AoE with some pretty large downside. Insanity Warlock with like the harp. Absolutely will try this card out. I think I'll try it out. Don't know if it'll be worth it. It probably won't be, but this is a card that probably emerges down the road in some other deck. But again, I'll give it a low B because I do think Insanity could see this card seeing play. We have Employee of the Month, 2-mana 3/2 demon, Battlecry, give a friendly minion lifesteal. I could see this going to like a Pain Warlock that gets pretty low in health. They stick one of their big giants or their horrors, and then they could get a bunch of lifesteal. But is it worth it just to heal up from that? The current builds, I don't think so. They're pretty all in on just winning and killing your opponent, and you already can set your health to 15. Probably doesn't make the cut on those lists, but it could be something that emerges over time. For now, though, I'm gonna give it a C. Warrior gets cards, kind of. First, we have the Punch card, 3-mana spell. Give your hero +3 attack, and also damage adjacent minions this turn. Yeah, they already have a 1-mana card that gives +2 attack, +2 armor, can activate other rifts, and this just gives you adjacent stuff that you almost never care about. I don't know what deck plays this. Hunter can play this card too, but Hunter's also struggling, and I don't see them playing this card whatsoever. It gets an F from me. We get the Reserve Spot, 3-mana spell, give a random minion in hand +4/+4. If it's the only one there, reduce its cost by 2. Kind of cool with like Line Cook, buff that up, maybe get mana cheat on it, and then you have like infinite, like really cheap taunts that you can constantly trade, but you got to kind of build around this. It's kind of awkward, and usually just one big hand buff doesn't equate a ton of power level. I'll give it a very low C. I think it could possibly be a fringe card somewhere, but that's about it. And we have the Alloy Advisor, 4-mana 2/6 taunt, mech as well. Whenever this takes damage, gain 3 armor. It's just too expensive for a card like this. Yeah, it'll probably take maybe damage, maybe 2. You'll get 6 armor, but you're not really gonna kill anything unless you hand buff this, magneticize it, and what else are you really doing with this card? This just feels like an older card, like a pretty old card to me. I'm gonna give it an F, and then we're on to the neutrals with Dream Planner Zephyrus, a 3-mana 3/2 elemental, not 2 mana because Shadow Step exists. It is Battle Cry. Choose a travel tour to get 2 potentially perfect cards from it, and you have the Extravagant Tour, which gives you 2 random cards that could potentially spend a lot of mana. You have the Hectic Tour that can potentially deal damage to the enemy hero, and the Modest Tour that could potentially impact the enemy's battlefield. Based on the library, they showed like related cards. You could possibly get an Ice Block, a Shadow Step. We'll see if that's accurate. We'll have to evaluate this card after it comes out. But for me, I think this card could go into quite a bit of those like Reno decks, value decks. Maybe it is abusable by like you Shadow Step, Sonya, and just keep playing a bunch of these for like 0. I don't know if that's going to be a valid strat, but I do think this is one of the more meta-defining cards of this mini set. I will give it an S, although I'm probably reaching with that rating. We have the Travel Master Dungar, 9 mana 3/3 legendary, so obviously terrible stats. Battle Cry, summon 3 minions from your deck that are from different expansions. I'm sure some class, probably Druid, will find a way to abuse this and cheat out like your Titan and a big minion and something to go for on turn like 6 and 7 after you've ramped and don't do some gross stuff. I'm gonna give it a B because it can just cheat out a bunch of stuff and you never know what, I mean Druid, but you probably never know what class might take advantage of it. I'm not entirely sold. It's bad. I'll give it a B that it might do some work. We have the Carnivorous Cubicle, 5 mana 4/6 epic, a throwback to the original Carnivorous Cube. It has Battle Cry, destroy a friendly minion, summon a copy of it and at the end of your turns. Turns out I was wrong on this one. It does work with Shutter Block, so you can get 3 minions re-summoned with this, which could be quite nice. Really good with Death Rattles or like Eartherns and Paladin. It's gonna find a home somewhere. It's gonna do some good stuff. I don't think it's quite gonna have the impact as the original cube, but I do think this effect, because you can't leave this minion alone. Plus you can copy it with like Cover Artist or something. It could do some really good stuff. It just, yeah, it might be a bit expensive. I'm still gonna give it an A. I think this pops up in multiple decks. We have the Clumsy Steward, a card I wish they didn't make. A 3-mana 2/4 neutral. After any card is drawn, make it temporary. Meaning you play this, your opponent top decks a card. It's temporary in the hand. They can't play it. It's gone forever. There's like Frozen Over synergies or like in Wild, Cold Light Oracle. Really frustrating. Even if it's not a meta card, it's gonna get evolved into, created by, and just create grief. It's a hate card, and I typically don't think hate cards should be 3 mana and have a constant effect. I don't think this sees meta play, but I'm giving it an F for the design. No, I'll give it a C because it might actually pop up, but I wish they didn't make cards like this. They're unfun. It's either unplayable and you don't care about it, or it's playable and you hate it, and I don't think that's a great thing. And lastly, we have the Busy Peon, a 2-mana 2/3 Death Rattle. Your next location costs 2 less. I don't think you care enough to cheat out a location. Sure, you can discount like a Prison of Yogg-Saron or Horizon's Edge and then maybe copy it, do some shenanigans, but usually that's not worth building your deck around, so I will be giving it an F. So there you go, my ratings on all the cards. I have a template down below if you want to give me your ratings where you agree, disagree. I do think, yeah, it's a lower power level. I got more C's and F's than normal, only 2 S's, which I think might be a bit of a reach, but there is some solid stuff, and I do think this mini set will probably have a bit more of an impact than some people are thinking, because we're just used to utterly broken cards all the time. Anyways, I'll be streaming this mini set later, live today. Should be launching around 10 a.m. Pacific. Again, not sure when I'm going live, so again, if you don't follow me on Twitch, drop a follow. We'll be trying everything out, buying all the crazy stuff, previewing it, and we'll see what other surprises might be there, which we'll talk about all tomorrow in our day 1 patch review. Enter that Ragnaros giveaway. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.